What's up, everybody? This is the Friday edition of the Fantasy Insiders NFL DFS show, the Swolecast, as we call it, the Pockets on Swole. And that comes directly from the man, the myth, the legend, Evan Silva, Evan from rotoworld.com. I'm David Kitchen, Soccer Dave, joining me, Mr. Tuttle05, Dan Gasper. Man, that facial hair is like compared to Davis's facial hair, Dan, that is just like looking really nice.
Mine's gone, dude. I got
appreciate
rid
it.
of it.
And then we have
You couldn't even tell you had facial hair.
and then we have Davis Maddock. And guys, I was on a Reddit Ask Me Anything, and like one of the top questions was, why are you so annoyed with Davis on the shows? So just to be clear, Davis does not annoy me on the show. Like, this is just normal. This is us. Like, does he annoy me sometimes behind closed doors? In our NFL Slack chat and our private Slack chat, yes. But on the shows, I love Davis. Just want to make that clear. I love him. And Davis, I should probably mention that our bet last week was a little one-sided. You had Eric Ebron.
Oh
You had
yeah.
Eric
Yeah,
Ebron,
you
and
had
I had
REB.
Martellus Bennett.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, Jay Cutler ended up playing, which we didn't know on Friday, and Ebron had like 4 targets in a quarter before he like tore his knee.
yeah, well, he went down in the second quarter,
Well,
but that's okay.
you wonder why we get annoyed with Davis Maddock, and it's because of takes like Booby Dixon.
I mean,
Let's start.
I don't know. I don't know.
We may as well just get right to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to do with him. Like, I was talking to Chris Trapasso, who is a Bills beat writer, this morning, and he basically contradicted the report that came out yesterday that said, that Dixon had not been practicing well and was suffering with a calf injury. He basically said, he looks fine. He's in line for 65% of the work, and I'm not all in on him by any means, just because I think the trio on DraftKings of Todos and Jamal Charles and Gurley is way better, but he's still in play, I think.
I'd much rather take a punt play at wide receiver, and we'll talk about. I think there are some good ones this week, especially Dink's
Yeah.
boy. We'll talk about that. Let's start. Come on, Dave.
All right, okay. Well, we'll start
Yeah,
with
Dave, come
quarterbacks
on.
then, and I think we know what the chalk is, and the chalk is going to be Philip Rivers, Evan.
I agree, and he was lower owned. Own percentages is obviously how you win in
It's the
daily.
key.
That's what I read that. And Philip Rivers was actually lower owned than Tom Brady in the Thursday bomb. That interests me because I think that their projections would not be totally different. I think Brady gives you more upside for sure. But I think that they're both great fantasy plays this week. And Rivers' price is so much better than Brady's. I mean, Brady could go wild. Brady could have a 5 TD game, but I think Rivers could have a 4 TD game. And those are the two guys I'm primarily looking at. But also like Eli, also like Alex Smith for super cheap, like a little bit of Bradford, Peyton Manning. I think Tyrod Taylor. A lot of people will be off of him because they people because he let people down last week. But he had a 31-yard rushing TD called back and a 32-yard passing TD to Charles Clay that was called back. I think it's a great week for quarterbacks.
Okay,
Didn't even mention Aaron
mentioned
Rodgers.
you mentioned 10 quarterbacks, but I was hoping, like, and praying that you would.
No.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it. I'm gonna put it out there. I'm gonna channel my inner Matic. Yes,
This is
I'm
not
gonna
a
channel
Matic
my inner
take,
Matic.
dude. This is not a Matic take.
This is
In my hedge
this is possibly
lineup,
worse than a Maddock take.
in my hedge lineup, I will have some Mike Vick shares. Absolutely. I think with 10 days, it wasn't a short week. With 10 days plus, you got Martavis Bryant back, and I don't think that his arm is like Peyton Manning. I don't think that it went down at all. I think that
No, he can
obviously
rip
he
it.
can't
He
run.
can rip it.
Yeah, he can't run like he used to. But I feel like with this game that for what I want to do with my lineups, he's the guy that lets me do it, and I feel okay with playing him on Monday night, and it'll be a fun game. 10 days, Martavis Bryant.
Can you do it?
It will not be.
It will not be
You-
fun. It'll be like watching Bradford on Monday night.
you'll be doing. You'll be doing the sweat show for DraftKings, and you'll just be in so much pain as Michael Vick fumbles again and again.
Would you look at him in
It's not
cash,
gonna be
Kitchen?
fun.
Oh, I'm
That's what
looking
he
at him
just
in
said.
cash.
That's
though.
what he just said because he's a crazy person.
Wow,
He is
dude.
he's so low priced. JJ telling me that Martavis Bryant has not practiced. I saw for undisclosed reasons he didn't practice yesterday, but he didn't practice again today, Evan.
Jeez, I mean, I'm behind on the news here, man. I haven't seen that.
Okay, so if you're Evan, let's play hypothetical. Let's say you're stupid like Soccer Dave, and you're looking at like a $5,100 range quarterback on DraftKings. I'll give you a couple guys. We got Kaepernick in that range. We got Foles in that range. We got Jay Cutler in that range. Would you take any of those guys over Mike Vick?
Yes.
I wouldn't want any of those guys at all.
I wouldn't either, but we're trying to be we're not being smart about this. We're being Soccer Dave about it. So would you take Vic over those three guys in GPP?
Foles.
I think the
Who?
guys mentioned in chat are the
There's-
ones. Bortles and Jameis are the ones
Yeah.
that, if you're going cheap, those are the two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Martavis
Anyways.
is not on the injury report.
I know it said for undisclosed reasons yesterday, so if he didn't practice again today, I would guess the same thing. So we'll have to see with that. But I fully admit that this could be a donkey take. But at 5,100, if those higher price guys go off, it might not hurt me. So I mean, I actually made a profit with Aaron Rodgers as my quarterback last week. Like, it's still okay.
Sick brag. Sick brag, Kitchen. Thank you.
Well, you're
Cool story, bro.
You're the one that told me that it was a donkey play to not have 100% of Aaron.
No,
Rodgers.
it's just like I just got steamrolled last week, and you're just making fun of me, dude. Like,
I made $75,000 on the primetime slate with CJ Spiller and Mark Ingram as my running backs.
True story. Tuttle might be famous this Sunday.
yeah, Tuttle's gonna be on NBC Sports, and they're gonna ask him for his thought process, and he's gonna say, "I was so tilted, I wanted to vomit, so I just spewed a bunch of $3 GPP teams."
It would be funny if he said Tilt interlate contest, and then they attributed that phrase to Dan, and then Lofty
Instead of
just
Lofty.
would lose it.
He would not be
Would
happy.
just- He would just absolutely lose it. Anyways, all right. So we've talked about the quarterbacks. I really feel like the story this week isn't the quarterbacks. It's the position players and knowing where to spend. Obviously, Gronk is back, but he's at a higher price, which makes it a little tougher to fit in these elite guys. So let's go with running back. And Dan, I'll start with you as far as some of the running backs you're looking at. Obviously you've got the Charles and Bell guys, but then you have Forte. If all of these Chicago receivers are out, maybe he's a decent play with Cutler.
I think I'm fading. I actually might end up with some a decent amount of Chiefs defense shares, based on how low the Vegas team total is for the Bears. It's actually surprisingly low for how bad the Chiefs have been at playing defense. So I don't think I'll find myself on Forte at all. The reason why I think Davis's take on Boobie Dixon isn't very good is because I think there's just so many. Or at least a solid handful of guys that are lower priced running backs that you can roster. You got Deion Lewis, you got TJ Yeldon's a fairly solid play, Todd Gurley's a solid play, and then I think even Danny Woodhead's a much better play than Boobie Dixon.
I'll disagree with the Woodhead take, but Woodhead is still I do like Woodhead this week, but just like anytime you can take a guy who's going to get goal line work, although I guess that does go for Woodhead too. I don't know, it's just a min price starting running back is like you can just do a lot of stuff basically. I don't know. Because you never get min guys on FanDuel. That never happens. Like, Never. Evan, I need you to break down Gurley for me, though. Like, I need, like, a 5-minute soliloquy on Gurley this week.
I mean, he's going to get smashed by game flow. You know, the Packers come out fast at Lambeau. 43-0 touchdown to interception ratio for Aaron Rodgers at home over his last 15 games. I mean, Todd Gurley's a stud, but I think Benny Cunningham outsnaps him this week.
It's possible. All right, I
Did you see?
have one stat for you, though. That TJ Hernandez, who's one of our writers, dug up. In Jeff Fisher's career in St. Louis, he's been a road underdog like 24 times or something like that. And the Rams actually average more rush attempts per game when they're road underdogs than like his average with the Rams. Does that move the line for you at all?
No.
Okay. All right.
I mean, I love Todd Gurley, and I hope he has a slow game, and then it's his bye, and then they have a great matchup after that, and I want to use him then, but there's no way I can mess around with him this week.
All right, we have some questions.
Boobie Dixon we don't know about his health. You know, Trapasso says one thing, another guy says another thing. It was the running backs coach that said he wasn't 100% healthy. So, I mean, I like Chris Trapasso, and I've read his stuff before, but, you know, whose word are you going to take? The running backs coach for the Bills?
Rex said on Wednesday he's ready to be the lead guy. So, like, I don't know who to believe.
Yeah, but Rex doesn't even watch the offense. He just cares about his defense.
True.
And then you got Sierra Wood. I mean, Sierra Wood and Anthony Dixon had the same amount of snaps last week. I think Dixon had 9 and Sierra Wood had 8. And then they picked up Dan Herron. You know, there's no way I can mess around with that. We could talk about punt plays at wide receiver. I love Charles. You know, he's an obvious one. I think Le'Veon is an obvious one. I think game script is a little bit of a concern for Le'Veon, but not really. And then Eddie Lacy, I think, is a guy that he was 7% owned in the Thursday bomb. His price is way down because he hasn't been scoring touchdowns. You know, I know Dink thinks he's too fat, but you know he's kind of due for a 2 TD game.
He's so
you know,
fat.
he's been running
fat.
well. He's been running well. He's at almost 5 yards a carry over his last 2 games. You know, it's just the touchdowns haven't been there, and he's, you know, this is a great big favorites at home, you know, and his price is way down, man. Like everybody's gonna be on Le'Veon and Charles, and people aren't gonna be on Eddie Lacy. I think he's. What do you think about him, Dan?
I'm usually Team Lacy. I think he's still been getting touches. His snap count is not very good. He saw 41 out of 75 last week, 31-77. Ty Montgomery was in the backfield a lot actually last week, getting some snaps. I don't know if that was just a matchup thing with San Francisco. I still think you can probably pencil him to 15 to 20 touches, but he's not going to be a guy that's going to get you 20 plus touches. So I think he could do the damage in 15-20, but there's a little bit of risk there just because I don't think he's going to get a workhorse of touches.
What about one guy that I've been looking at is Ronnie Hillman. And I know that the situation there to this point has not been great. The run blocking hasn't been great. But Kubiak, like, he wants somebody to step forward, and he was just praising Ronnie Hillman at the beginning of the week, called him the offensive MVP of their Week 4 game, and he said he deserves more touches, and Hillman is at a great price. He's just a little bit more expensive than Thomas Rawls. I love Hillman as a GPP play this week. The Broncos are 5-point favorites.
Can you say that Hillman at 6,600 is really a great price, though? Like, I feel like there's a lot of risk there.
Okay, then don't use him. But I think he has the potential to have a big game. I think he could have a big game this week.
My only concern with that is that Oakland is actually a top 10 rush defense by DVOA thus far, and they're bottom 5 in pass defense. Like I think this is a huge Demaryius Thomas week.
Oh, I do too. I do too, man. I love Demaryius, but I just wanted to throw Hillman's name out there because I think he's going to be their lead back this week, like pretty clear cut lead back, and anytime, and I know that the struggles have been there in the 4-game sample size, and they may continue. And you're right, the matchup is not ideal. The Raiders have a better run defense than people think, but I think we may see Hillman get 17 to 20 touches in a Peyton Manning offense where the Broncos are favored by 5 in a game that I think they're going to score points.
We'll talk about Demaryius Thomas in a second because I know Dan read some things about him, so we'll talk about him when we get to wide receivers. It feels like for me, especially on FanDuel, that there are only 4 guys that I like, and that's
whatever
Charles.
Whatever combo gets you Michael Vick.
Yeah, whatever gets me Michael. No, Charles, Le'Veon Bell, Todos con Dion, and Woodhead would be the 4th guy. Outside of those guys, I don't really feel comfortable. I don't feel comfortable with Booby. I mean,
that's pretty obvious.
It is
You don't
what
feel
it is.
comfortable with boobies.
Stop, Davis. Stop.
Anytime you can play, anytime you can play an injured plotter, special teamer, running back, you got to put him in your lineup.
He's not a good play. I just want to come out and officially confirm and say there are enough concerns. This is not Todos con Booby. Okay, this is not happening. I'm not planting my flag on him. It's not no one come back and try and tell me that I was heavily touting Anthony Dixon. I think that there is if we get some right news on a half-point PPR site like FanDuel, it's really possible that he does end up being in play, but he's not a core building block right now.
JJ said in the chat that even he does not like Dixon, which JJ's
all you need to know.
He's too busy touting Max Williams. He's super excited for Max Williams this week.
We also have the question, Evan. I'll just throw it out to you, and then Tuttle, you can follow up. As far as we already talked about Gurley, but people are talking about Yeldon, Rawls, and Forsett. So, Evan, do you feel comfortable with any of those 3 running backs?
I can't comfortably project Justin Forsett for a touchdown, which is a big issue. And everything else I like about him. Everything else. I mean, he's playing in the first 2 games. He only played about 60% of the Ravens snaps. They were trying to work other guys in. Last 2 games, he's at 80%. The matchup is great. They're at home. They're favorites. I mean, I don't know how you can project him for a TD. I think Marlon Brown, I would feel better projecting Marlon Brown for a TD this week than Justin Forsett. TJ Yeldon has 0 TDs through 4 games, and this is theoretically a pretty good spot for him. They've been feeding him. I mean, he's 3rd in the NFL in carries right now. I like him as a player. I know other people don't like him as a player. I do like him as a player, but I think their team total is under 20 in what should be a good spot theoretically. And I mean, look, he could pay off. He definitely could. I'm looking at other guys in that price range. I like Ronnie Hillman more, and I think I might even feel a little bit better about Thomas Rawls and Dion Lewis. He's in that same range.
Tuttle, your thoughts on those guys?
Yeah, I think Forsett's a very safe play this week. I think, well, we may not be able to predict touchdown. I think he's a relatively safe bet for 10 or so points, and that's mostly going to be just through yardage. So if you feel comfortable with that, I think he's a solid cash game play because of that. It might be a stretch to get a touchdown out of him, though. So I kind of echo Evan's thoughts there. Rawls, I'm not going to have, I don't think any of, even with the Fred Jackson situation. I just don't see a reason to chase that situation. And then Yeldon, I actually like Yeldon quite a bit. The problem with Yeldon is I like Allen Robinson more from that offense, and there's no way in hell you're going to find me with two Jaguars in my lineup.
Love Allen Robinson.
So I think I'll have some Yeldon exposure on my teams, but there'll be much more Allen Robinson exposure.
Okay, so that answers the question, Yeldon versus Gurley in cash games. You both would take Yeldon.
I would take Gurley. Like just
I'd
because
take Gurley. I think Evan would be Yeldon.
I just think that like I'll definitely say Yeldon is like a safer bet to see 20 touches, but like Gurley had handled 42% of the Rams' offensive plays last week, and I know they're going to be down. I know they're going to lose this game, but I feel pretty confident that if you give him 15 touches, he'll score more fantasy points than Yeldon will on 20.
All right. Let's move on to.
But it's Todos Condian over both for what it's
Todos
worth.
is like the number one guy this week in terms of projected points and salary. And I just want everyone to bask in the fact that
he's basically got a 75% chance at scoring 3 receiving TDs.
I would say
It's gonna happen.
100% chance of 1 touchdown, and then just like
100%.
Yeah, 100%, fam. No, seriously though, the Patriots are gonna come into the house that Jerry built, and they are going to go nuclear. It's gonna be bad for Dallas. It's not gonna be pretty.
Is there a concern that they just run it out with Blunt in the into the third, fourth quarter, Evan?
Yes.
That's gonna happen. It's not a concern. It's like a reality.
Okay. I want to read.
How long? I mean, Rod Marinelli is like a good schemer, defensive coordinator. I think if you're starting Patriots, you're almost hoping that he can keep it close, or a 2-score game into the third quarter. Maybe into the fourth. It's going to be difficult though. They are getting Greg Hardy and Rolando McClain back though.
Okay.
Through this point, the Cowboys have given up 7 targets and 70 receiving yards to running backs per game, and the Patriots extended Lewis's contract and cut the running back who could reasonably fill his role in Traveris today. I feel pretty safe with Todos.
Davis, I want to read.
I want to hear a little from Evan.
Hold on,
if I can, if I may.
Hold on.
Oh, come on. I want to hear the.
I want to hear. Given up like the second most receptions to running backs as well.
Yep.
Sorry, Dan.
See, I want to hear with Sean Lee back, Evan. Who do you think that affects more? Do you think that affects? Is that gonna take a hit to Dion Lewis's value, or is that a Gronk value hit?
No, Gronk never takes.
Or neither.
Never takes a value hit. I mean, he's.
So you're not worried about the health of the linebacking core, essentially.
No. I mean, Sean Lee's cleared. Rolando McClain's back. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they've got okay linebackers. They're getting Greg Hardy. They've played bad defense 2 straight weeks without Dez and Whedon, or without Dez and Romo, because their team is built to play keep away, and so their defense isn't very good when they can't play keep away. And I mean, I don't. Sean Lee playing is that's good for their defense. He's a good player. It's like Bill Belichick knows that too, and Gronk is off a bye. Like he's gonna hit pay dirt.
Davis, I'm surprised that you are recommending a running back coming off of ACL surgery, because Drew Dinkmeyer said that you made fun of him for wanting to take Gurley in redraft leagues because running backs coming off ACL surgeries were not.
I think there are a good number of contextual factors going against Gurley in redraft. Namely, they're going to be like big underdogs in road games. But like it's just one of those things. Like I obviously was a little bit wrong in terms of evaluation on Gurley. Like he came back and he's just amazing already, and that's fine.
I think that's what Drew was wanting you to say, is that you were wrong. That's all he's wanting you to say.
Wait, you evaluated him poorly?
No, didn't evaluate him poorly at all. Just that, like, he was going, like, when he hadn't even started practicing yet, he was going in, like, the 3rd round of redraft leagues.
Oh, yeah, I didn't take him anywhere, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll see. He's going to get game scripted in a lot of games. I mean, that's awesome that he had a great game last week. Like, we know he has talent. He's going to get game scripted a lot.
Yep.
We didn't even talk about Tom Brady, really, other than what I said. I mean, what are your guys' takes on him for this week? Is he too expensive to play in cash, or what do you think?
I want to hear what Dan has to say.
I don't think he's too expensive to play in cash. I find myself going cheaper on FanDuel. I think Rivers is right in the sweet spot for cash game construction. Or if you want to pivot off to and play Bradford for the exact same price, I don't think that's a bad move at all either. I think, from a projected points standpoint, if you're just going by that, I do think Tom Brady is obviously the top play there. It's just being able to make roster construction work. I don't feel so. I think I'm kind of in the same boat with you here, Evan, in the sense that I'm okay going down one tier so I can create a little more balanced lineup.
What about going down 2 tiers, Dan?
No.
Nope, can't do that.
All right.
If you're playing Michael Vick, I want you to take all my head-to-heads.
Oh, there we go.
Melvin Gordon moment.
That's we gotta mention that, dude. The Chargers just hate Melvin, dude. They've given him 54 rush attempts through 4 games, and they've called 16 passing plays in the red zone to 9 rushes, and Gordon's only gotten 2 of those rushes, I believe.
One of the very few things that I got right last week was that Melvin Gordon would get a red zone touch, and he got stuffed at the goal line. So
nailed it.
Win.
Yeah. Win for everybody because we didn't play them, and you still got to be right. As far as
speak for yourself, Dave. Speak for yourself.
Oh, sorry, bud. That's not our fault. We tried to warn you, fella.
That's true.
Duke Johnson just went ham last week, and that's one of the reasons why I'm high on Le'Veon Bell. But is he going to be a thing like this season, Evan? Like, is he a GPP play this week? I mean, I think he caught 9 passes last week.
Yeah, he is on PPR sites for sure. He also got a goal line carry late in the game over Isaiah Crowell. He played over 60% of the Browns snaps. Crowell only played 36%. Yeah, for sure. On PPR DFS sites, I would definitely he'd be in consideration. Not necessarily this week, but in general for sure. The Browns want him to be their guy.
Yeah.
And the last thing before we move on to wide receivers, because we do have some Martavis Bryant news, but the last thing from Lewis says, do we dare fade Lord Freeman? And you do have news that Kevin Coleman is going to play, but how much does that affect his value? Is it too late? Like, does Freeman already have this starting gig? Or is his price to the point where it's like what Coleman takes away, Evan, you don't want to play him?
There's no way I'm going to play a guy coming off back-to-back 3 TD games, pretty much in any scenario. And, maybe that's really bad process, but there's no way I'm going to do that. And I'll keep losing. I'll keep racking up losses every week. There's no way I'm doing that.
I hate Devontae Freeman. The worst.
Davis, you were going to play him last week, weren't you?
Yep. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about what happened like 10 minutes before lineup lock because things went south.
I was talking to you.
Yep, things went south.
They could have gone better with the Rawls news, that's for sure.
Wait, you had a donkey take. Oh, that's who it was. Rawls was the donkey take last week.
Rawls was the donkey take. I mean, Rawls was the donkey take, but the donkey take of all donkey takes was that you had to play Rodgers and Cobb. Like, that ended up being awful.
That was the right.
I thought the same thing, dude. Sometimes we make good decisions and they have bad results. That happens in real life as well. We've all experienced that. We go through. We come up with a bunch of different pieces of data, and we try to make the best decisions that we can, and they're not going to have the best results every time. Last week was a horrible week for fantasy. Last week was a horrible week for fantasy. Devonta Freeman went off. Martellus Bennett went off. Cairo Santos went off. And Phillip Rivers went off. And if you didn't have shares of those guys, I didn't have any of those guys. And, I lost, and I'm okay with that. And now we got to move forward. because now we have even more data. We have 4 weeks worth of data, and we should continue to make better decisions, and the results will catch up.
I'm gonna like make a clip of this and play like presidential music in the background because that was good. People are in the chat saying that you are in dad mode and that you're like picking us all up, and that's life lessons from Evan Silva. That's definitely going to be a segment coming up in the
Davis is going to try to play this next week after he plays Booby Dixon, and Dixon gets like 10 yards.
We're just gonna have it on loop for when.
I'm not gonna play him, dude. Like I like seriously. Like I took like getting like beat last week like so handily. Like I took it really hard. Like I like went back into the lab this week. Like completely like kind of changed my research process and just like I like, dude. It shook me just like getting destroyed last week. It really did.
All right, let's move forward to the wide receivers. You do have news that Michael Vick says he's only practiced with Martavis Bryant once this week, and that was on Monday. Some soft tissue concerns there, but if he hasn't practiced, Dan, you talked about Demaryius Thomas like being iffy. This is probably even more of a situation where if he hasn't practiced so far, if he doesn't practice tomorrow because it's a Monday night game, Evan, he's probably not going to play.
Kitchen, no one is playing these players.
It's not looking good.
Or you could just
the only person who has said anything about this is the guy from the Steelers website, which is interesting. Like the beat writers aren't even on it, and it just came out a couple hours ago. The beat writers aren't even talking about it. That's interesting to me. But and it's based on quotes from Michael Vick.
Does that affect Le'Veon?
I'd say we don't care because Mike Vick's his quarterback.
No, I mean some people might care though. I mean there are some people.
Nobody cares about Martavis Bryant. Because Michael Vick is his quarterback.
There's some person that cares. All right, let's talk about Demaryius Thomas though, because that's another guy who Davis is all in on. But Dan, you think it's possible that he doesn't play on Sunday night?
Well, there's mixed reports, so you're gonna have to look. I don't have time right now to look and see who the credible one is. There were reports. Yeah, he's listed as probable. That seems to be the consensus. There was a report out there saying that he's iffy, so I'd look into the credibility of that over the next day or two and see if there's any clarification. You should get clarification in time as long as he's healthy. Then he's obviously one of the top wide receiver plays of the week.
Evan, your thoughts on Demaryius Thomas? Does the Peyton Manning noodle arm and the fact that he's coming back for every Manning pass mean that you're a little concerned?
Well, I forgot about this donkey take.
I mean, I don't know. He's on pace for 140 catches and 1,600 yards and only 4 TDs. So touchdown regression is gonna, when it comes, it's gonna be like an avalanche. And you want to be.
I got a stat on Demaryius touchdowns.
You want to be in front of that, and this easily could be the week that 2-3 TD game. I mean, that's coming.
All right.
Demaryius for his career has scored .109 touchdowns per target. This year he's at .002 touchdowns per target. And the dude doesn't need to get red zone targets to score either. He is the best in the league at taking a screen pass for touchdowns. And the Raiders secondary is legitimately abysmal. They have T.J. Carey and Charles Woodson as 2 of their 8 defensive
Carey's
backs.
out.
Carey's out.
Carey's out, and he's their best DB. Yep. Dude, they were playing David Amerson last week. You remember him?
Yep. Yeah, he's the worst cornerback in the league last year.
Right. He makes people money on DFS.
Yep.
He's like Bleedy Ray.
Yes, he is.
The Jeff Vance in the chat says Demaryius Thomas was 4% owned on Thursday.
There you go. 4%. That's it. That's the insider info that you need to win your games, because ownership percentage is the only thing that does it.
Of course, he was also in the same price range as Hopkins, which he was very heavily on, like 30%. So I think that definitely will go up. But I think with the carry news, I'm okay with it. It's just, man, that Broncos offense.
And he's been
I would
good.
rather pay.
He's been good every game in the middle of a terrible offense because he's always open. He's like Decker. He's always open.
Right, but with the way
He has 7+ catches in all their games.
I guess with the way that the lineup construction's working, I'd rather force in Charles and Bell and go cheaper at wide receiver.
That's how I'm
because
looking
of-
too. That's how I'm looking too. But I definitely want shares of Demarius, and I also want shares of
Okay.
Odell Beckham.
Yep. This is
Because
an
I
ODB
think
week.
Same.
I mean, this game sets up perfectly for ODB. I mean,
And
the
that's
49ers
why
hemorrhage big passing plays. Their two decent defensive performances have come at home. On the road, they've given up a 40-burger plus in both of those games. You need one lineup, at least one lineup with Eli Odell Beckham stack, I think.
Yeah.
You need
Odell
just one.
coming.
Just one.
and Tuttle, as far as like the Demaryius Thomas, like in the Broncos, you know that there's a lot of options. With the Giants, there's really only one wide receiver option for Eli to go to. Because Preston Tucker's gone.
Preston Parker.
Yeah, Preston Tucker's
Preston
not there to
Tucker
vulture
is,
targets
in
anymore.
Kansas City right now.
Baseball player. He's a baseball player.
They've been feeding Rubes though, man. They've been feeding Rubes.
Hey, Rubes, people have been sleeping on him for years, man. He's a thing now.
All right.
I need a team
Dan,
to believe
as
in
far as
Stephen Hill the way the Giants believe in Ruben Randall.
Tuttle, Julio, is he on your list at all against this Redskins secondary?
Sure. Yeah, I mean he's always a great play. That's all you need. That's all you need with Julio Jones. You don't need any statistical backing on. You know he's a great play every single week. Washington's secondary, Washington's front is what's intimidating, which is another reason why you don't play Devontae this week. Their strength is definitely the run. So I mean, why not Julio? I'm like you guys. I'm spending more on other positions, and I would actually prefer both Odell Beckham and Demaryius Thomas over Julio Jones, but I'm not going to say you're a donkey if you play Julio Jones.
Evan, if you had to pick between those three wide receivers, we talked about it yesterday, who would you pick?
Odell.
Yep.
Den? Julio
Demarius.
versus
No, it's Demarius.
Demarius.
Yeah, Demarius. I'm totally off Julio right now, and that's a personal thing. I think he's a great play. I'm not saying he's a bad play. It just
He burned
personally.
you last week, didn't he? He burned you last week, didn't he?
No, I had 0 of him.
Oh.
I was over. I was
must be nice.
I was all over a bunch of other terrible plays.
All right, yo, I got one, Evan. Mid-tier guys. Talk about these three dudes: Keenan Allen, Macklin, and J-Matt.
J-Matt is a guy who burned us last week. Yep. And what happened was we talked about the guy that was supposed to be on him was Will Blackman. He was not on him. It was this guy named Kyshon Jarrett, who's this undrafted rookie that the Redskins. I mean, J-Matt couldn't get open against him.
He got open a couple times. He got open a couple times. Bradford missed him wide open in the end zone at the end of the first half. This guy Kyshon Jarrett.
This guy Kyshon Jarrett, he's a 6th-round rookie. I just looked it up. He did a great job on J-Matt.
Yeah.
This week, and I was just talking to the Saints beat writer about this because I was interested in who he thinks is going to go against J-Matt this week. I was a little concerned if it would be Delvin Breaux, who can ball for the Saints. I don't know if you guys watched that Sunday night game, but he's a really aggressive guy. And then I thought Keenan Lewis and Browner would be on the outside, and it might be Delvin Breaux in the slot, but it's not going to be. It's going to be Damian Swann, who's another rookie, late round rookie, has just been getting burned up. I like J-Matt as a GPP play. I don't know if you can trust him in cash at this point. You should be able to, though. I mean, he's got 8+ targets in all 4 of their games. You should be able to. His price is good. But I mean, I understand not, I mean, he's got back-to-back games under 50 yards. But I mean, I'm still definitely positive about him, and I think he's a good play, and I think he's got another great matchup.
Does game script take out Macklin, Evan?
No. I mean, they're going to get up for a reason, right? It could be all Charles. It could be.
And they never give the ball to Kelsey.
I like Macklin. Rich Rebar's all over Macklin this week as well. Macklin is great price for a guy. I mean, he's a wide receiver 1 right now. He is priced at $6,900 on FanDuel. He is 7th in the NFL in receiving yards. He's 2nd in the NFL in 20+ yard catches. They're using him like a legit wide receiver 1. He's moving all over the field, and tons of targets, man. I mean, the Bears could put up points. They still got Martellus and Forte, and Cutler's willing to take chances, and I mean, they could keep the game close for a while.
Tuttle, rank Keenan Allen, Jordan Matthews, and Macklin on DraftKings. That's from Eric.
Jordan Matthews, Keenan Allen, Jeremy Macklin. Let's go. I think Macklin's price, you have to give him number 1 just because he's $6,000 on DraftKings. I think that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous price tag for him. And then I'll go Keenan Allen and then J-Matt.
Okay. I think J-Matt's would be, like you said, Evan, a great GPP play just because everyone's off of him because of how much he's burned people. And he is in, like, it did look like things were starting to click. It was just with the wrong guys last week with Sam Bradford. And he's going to have opportunities this week. Keenan Allen, is he the safest wide receiver to play this week?
For me, Antonio Gates coming back is a concern because he's a red zone dominator. And I think he limits the touchdown projection for the rest of the Chargers pass catchers. He scored 12 TDs last year. He has 13 TDs over his last 17 games. There are a couple of mid-range wide receivers that I love this week. Back on Garcon. No Jordan Reed, no Deshaun Jackson. That's a game where, per the Vegas line, the game script should work in the favor of Garcon. James Jones, still definitely a thing. Every week he's going to be a thing. When he's priced where he is, he's going to be a thing every week. And then Allen Robinson, who I love. I want to just put him everywhere.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, I did that one week and it didn't go so hot. As far as Marcus Wilson though, is that the
Didn't
guy
you play
that
Allen
you're talking
Robinson
about
against the Patriots, Kitchen?
What's that?
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah.
It was a Michael Vick take, is what it was.
Yeah.
Well, Hearn was the one that went off, not Allen Robinson. But, anyways, Evan told me to play him. It wasn't my fault. It was Evan's fault. But anyways,
No. That's a lie.
Marcus Wilson. If
Eddie
Eddie Royal is out,
I'm sorry.
it's okay. If Eddie Royal is out, Marcus Wilson, is he a decent option for you, Evan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's just above min. Yeah.
You said you wanted to talk about him.
The game script should be great for lots of pass attempts. I like the way that Cutler played last week, trying to play through the hamstring injury. He's on schedule. He's not moving around. He's just standing in the pocket and delivering, and he can be good when he does that. I like Marcus Wilson. I like Marlon Brown as a legit min price wide receiver. I know a lot of people are going to be on Kamar Aiken, and I like Marlon Brown better. He's 6'4" and 213 pounds. He caught 7 TD passes as an undrafted rookie a couple years ago. I think Flacco gets 2 TD passes in this game, and I think that Marlon Brown has just as good of a chance as anyone to catch one of them.
Okay. We
We
have
gotta talk about Willie
Kendall Wright.
Dynamite. We gotta talk about Willie Dynamite.
Okay, Davis, you handle Kendall Wright and Willie Dynamite because you like them both.
Okay, well, Kendall Wright is $100 cheaper than Allen Robinson on DraftKings, and just the way my lineup is working out right now, like I zeroed it out with Wright in that last wide receiver slot. The Bills basically generate a ton of pressure, which should encourage Tennessee and Mariota to, throw a little quicker, which would obviously favor Wright. And their worst corner, it's actually funny, his name is Nickel Roby, is the one who plays in the slot where Wright spends a ton of his time. So I'm definitely on Wright. And then Willie Dynamite, dude, he's playing like 70% of the snaps. His are like inversely correlated with Coleman and Colston snaps as they play less. Snead plays more. And the last 2 weeks, he's basically functioned as like the number 2 wide receiver behind Cooks. And I just don't think Cooks is really that good. And he's minimum
Snead
salary.
is like he's like a lock for 5 catches. Like that's his floor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why he's a better min price play on
And Boobie,
DraftKings
yes.
because you get that PPR floor of 5.
Yeah. To play him on FanDuel, you're hoping for more than 5 catches because he's not gonna score a touchdown more than that.
Yeah, I like Snead much more on DraftKings.
All right, let's play.
Yeah,
we'll get to tight end.
I'm not even looking at him on FanDuel because his touchdown projection is so low.
So low, yeah.
All right, we'll have lightning round. If you have a question for us, put it in the viewer questions, and we'll get to it. Evan, you remember the rules for lightning round, right?
No.
Yeah.
Just
As long of an answer as possible.
just answer it quick, like lightning. Not like a slow roll of thunder. We're looking for lightning takes right here. All right. First of all, this is more of a comment than a question, but Yancey says, props to Silva for going contrarian and not wearing a hat while indoors. So, nice one. Is it counterintuitive to have Totos and a New England pass catcher in the same lineup? Dan, you get this one.
I don't think so for cash. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it in GPP either. I think there's enough points to go around where Totos and Gronk or Totos and Edelman can both hit plenty of value.
We didn't even mention Edelman, who is a decent option this week. Thoughts on Dontrell Inman? That for you, Evan.
If Malcolm Floyd was going to be out, I'd be on him. I'd be on him for sure. But Malcolm Floyd is going to play. Okay.
There you go. That's lightning round. Derek Carrier in cash, Davis.
Viable. Not preferred, but viable.
Who wins in a fight, Davis Maddock or the Beebs? That question was at the very top for some reason. I would take the Beebs.
He would get his
but Davis
kicked in.
It's definitely out there. 2 words to tight end, Derek Carrier. So people are all about the carrier. We'll talk about tight ends in a second. Evan, what about the news that they want to get Sanders more involved? I'm guessing this is talking about the Broncos.
Sanders has been plenty involved. I don't even know what that means.
Okay, there we go. Let's see. Value wide receivers for the win. Who are they? We just talked about those guys as far as Snead, Jones.
Are any of you guys on Garcon?
I'm okay with them.
I can see it.
Yeah.
I mean, he might get 12 targets.
The problem is
I can see it.
Go ahead, Dan.
I want. This is a possible GPP winner here on DraftKings. Well, DraftKings FanDuel. I want Evans' take. Who's gonna come out of the 3-headed backfield this week for Washington? Is it a Chris Thompson week?
Yes. Falcons have given up a ton of
JJ thinks it is. JJ thinks it is. I think the Redskins keep it close. I think that people are overrating the Falcons right now, and I think the Redskins are going to be competitive, and we'll see more of Matt Jones and Alfred Morris, and I don't think Chris Thompson's going to light it up, even though JJ is like he's starting Chris Thompson against me in some season-long league, and he's been like bragging to me about it all week, like Chris Thompson's going to get 15 points against you, dude. Yeah, I know. Only JJ does this stuff.
Chris Thompson's too fast for a JJ. I don't get
That's
it.
true.
Not
That's
a
true.
dad runner.
Not a dad runner at all. Again, which is why if he's not on Booby Dixon, then that tells you something. Davis, Fitzgerald or Macklin? I'm guessing that's Macklin for you. All right, you get another one, Davis. Am I getting too cute for running out Aiken and Snead in the same lineup to get Odell, Gronk, and Le'Veon?
To me,
Davis? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's too cute.
Yes.
It's too cute, yeah.
All right. I want to put
Let's
Allen
build this
Robinson
team,
everywhere.
dude.
Silva, who's not wearing any pants.
No, did we talk about tight ends? We didn't even talk about tight ends.
We're
yeah,
about
I
to.
think
We're
I'm
about
going to
to.
put Allen
After
Robinson everywhere. I think I'm going to.
Can we get some takes on Larry? Can we get some takes on Larry Fitzgerald? Who is going to cover him? Is he a cash play? Evan, I'll let you take that.
Yeah, he's a great play. He's a great play. You know, the thing is, you can pivot down and get Allen Robinson, cheaper. But I mean, I think he's a great play. I really do. He's going to match up with Josh Wilson in the slot for the Lions. That's a great matchup.
Tuttle, would you play Rivers and Allen in the same cash game lineup?
Sure.
You remember when
Why not?
remember when Stevie Johnson went like 6-101 in week 1? He did that work against Josh Wilson. Larry Fitz a great play.
Okay. All right. Last one. Tuttle, I'll let you have this one as well. Keenan Allen or Edelman?
Keenan for me, but that's because I like both Totos and Gronk more from the Patriots. I think they're comparable, but roster construction has me on Allen.
All right. Well, that leads us into Gronkowski. Davis, I'll let you tell us why we're all donkeys if we think about playing anyone except Rob Gronkowski.
I mean, I'll just give the same spiel I give every week. He's historically good at any position. He scored the third most fantasy points per game outside of Le'Veon Bell, Devontae Freeman, who only have 2 weeks of it. And it's just like he gives you a huge advantage over everyone who rosters. I don't know, like everyone who had Olsen last week, if Gronk was in the slate, you would have just crushed everybody. You would have crushed everyone who got 3 points from Greg Olsen or whatever. And there's always going to be some other tight end who goes off, but you know what you're getting in Gronk every week, and that's a historically good player.
Yeah, if he retires tomorrow, he's a Hall of Famer. Like Sandy Koufax. He's the best tight end of all time, and you want to start him. And Olsen burned me so bad. I think I had 100% of Greg Olsen last week. So bad, man. Did any of you guys pivot to Martellus at the last minute when we learned that Cutler was playing?
Tuttle did.
Did you?
I did.
Good job, man. Tuttle. Damn it.
Yeah, I did.
You got to tell me when you do this stuff.
I still had 50% of Olsen though, and he really, because of how Bennett and Charles Clay went off. Like if you had Olsen, it was really tough to come back from that, especially if you had A-Rod in that same lineup.
Yeah,
Tuttle, is there any sort of scenario on FanDuel? Let's just say FanDuel. Is there any sort of scenario where you do not play Gronkowski, such as this Chicago Bears situation with Martellus Bennett?
In cash, it's Gronk, and it's always Gronk this week. I think my bold take for the week is Zeus is going to outscore him, so I'm going to have a lot of Zeus in GPPs, but I'm still running Gronk out in cash.
Okay, that's a solid take, and I feel like on DraftKings, we talked about this yesterday, but you can play 2 tight ends if you want to play Derek Carrier. I'll let you, Evan, weigh in on Derek Carrier to see if you are on him like everybody else is.
Not in DFS, man. Not in DFS. The book on him, and we've barely seen him play, really. We've barely seen him play. The book on him is that he's softer than Kobe Fleener, which that's always a red flag. That's how Davis got in trouble with it. That's how Davis got in trouble last week, going in on Eric Ebron.
No one's softer than Fleener, man.
So you're saying on PPR sites for 2,500, you just don't think that Carrier is going to get any volume play?
I mean, I picked him up, and I'm starting him in in a dynasty league and in another season-long league, as a streamer. But I mean, I'm not going to put him in my DFS lineups.
Tuttle, you're shaking your head yes, like you agree.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, I forgot who mentioned it, but in the NFL, it's not, the tight end position's not translatable necessarily. I understand, sure, it translated last year with Niles Paul. I don't see it necessarily transferring over, even if he gets, the optimistic target range for Carrier would probably be 50% of what Jordan Reed was saying. And that's if he's running his routes crisp. I just don't see it.
Okay.
Let's make a FanDuel team.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. This is the part where everyone gets so excited. How did the FanDuel team do last week?
Couldn't have been good.
Wasn't that good?
I don't think it was bad. I couldn't bring it up though. I don't think it was horrible.
I mean, I don't. How can a lineup without Devonta Freeman, Phillip Rivers, or Martellus Bennett in it, or Cairo Santos do well last week? Because nobody else did well.
Yeah, it was really bad.
Nobody else did well.
J Carp says it was literally awful. So I'm guessing
someone posted. I forget what it was.
It was bad. We had Olsen at tight end. It was not good.
Oh, we have Olsen?
No,
oh,
we had
gosh.
Clay. We had Clay. Anyways, Evan, you have first pick, dude.
J-Matt.
Perfect.
Wow.
No. Allen Robinson.
All right.
Tuttle?
I'll go J-Matt then.
Like it.
All right. Kitchen, me or you?
You go.
Gronk.
Oh my God, Kitchen's
and I
gonna
let
take
all
Vic.
you guys pick.
Kitchen is gonna take
all
Vic.
you guys pick. Screw you guys for torturing me last week. Screw you guys.
Oh no.
Michael Vick.
No.
Screw you.
Oh!
Screw you and you, Michael Vick.
I refuse to put this in.
No, I'm not doing this.
Anything.
I'm not doing this.
I'm not. I usually put this in the Millie Maker each week. It's not happening this week. I refuse.
This team isn't helping anybody.
Evan, you're up.
Gosh. That's on us for not picking a QB first.
I was letting you all three pick.
I should have taken.
We got to start
Rivers.
over, I think.
Well, no. Here, I take my pick back from Gronk, and we're going Rivers.
Good
job. That's not.
All right.
Kitchen.
There we go.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that because then that's a slippery slope.
No.
That's a slippery slope, Davis. If you start taking back donkey takes, then we're going to be overruling every one of your takes. So
I take Rivers.
Okay.
I take Rivers.
Okay,
you take a player.
No.
Kitchen.
No, that's not how it goes.
All right, then we can cut you out of this. Evan, who's your pick? We have Rivers.
All right. Well, Davis is muted. So, Evan, who's your pick?
Gronk.
We already have Gronk.
All right. Nope. Now we have Gronk. So we have Rivers, Matthews, Gronk, and Robinson.
Tuttle, you're muted now too. Just kidding. Evan, pick a dang player. This is a Vic lineup. You guys, for what you did to me last week, you're not getting.
We need to give the chat. The chat wants us to go Rivers. This is for the chat.
Yeah, we gotta do it for the chat, Dave.
No, we're going.
We got to do it for the chat.
Evan, we're going Vic.
Okay,
You know,
Evan and Davis.
Josh
You guys are
McCown.
screwing
Well,
this game.
Josh McCown moved the ball on the Chargers defense last week. Let's just go
Correct.
Vic.
He had
Screw
300.
it. Come on.
Okay, he had 300.
Okay, no, here, Evan
gonna
and
use
Davis.
his
We'll leave 1,000. Let's just leave $1,000 left over in salary, and then after all is said and done, we'll put
You guys are
Rivers
being
in, and Dave
big
can think he has
babies.
Vic.
Big old babies. Who you want, Evan?
Okay, so we have Vic, quote unquote Vic, and we have Matthews, Robinson, and Gronkowski. So it's Evan's pick.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Ronnie Hillman. You guys hate that.
All right, no Vic.
Oh, he
Okay,
gave
so
in.
then he gave in.
Yeah,
no,
he said
I'm
no
joking
Vic.
because you
Does
said
that mean we
Ronnie
got-
Hillman, so you might as well like. Ronnie Hillman's
Yeah, this
way worse
lineup
to
is,
take than Michael Vick is at quarterback, where the range of outcomes are similar. So I don't want to hear it.
Well, I'm going. It's my pick. I'm going to spend on Odell Beckham.
Love it.
Davis, do you have anybody? Hold on, let me unmute you.
Giants defense.
Who?
Giants.
Tennessee defense is 4,100. That's all I'm saying.
All right, taking the Giants.
That should do some stuff. All right. So we have
Rivers.
$6,050 average remaining salary.
Yeah, we have Rivers, Hillman, Allen Robinson, Jordan Matthews, Beckham, Gronk, Giants defense with 5.5 left for a kicker and a running back. 5.5 for like each slot.
All right. I'll go Santos.
All right.
Chasing last week's points.
I mean, he's 4,600, and they're playing the Bears.
So we have Melvin.
You gotta go.
Melvin.
You gotta go min price to get us up to the 6,600 running backs.
I mean, should we play Rivers and Lambeau together? I don't like that. I mean, do you guys care about that?
No.
Not in a GPP, you don't.
Okay.
All right. So what are we
All right,
doing?
we're going Santos.
Okay. So then are we going Doug Martin against Jacksonville at home for that last running back slot?
Oh my God.
Or we could be cool and pair Rivers with Danny Woodhead.
Sure. YOLO. There you go. There's your team, everybody.
Dude, I'm doing the Vic thing. I just
Thank
found
you,
a great
Evan.
combo. I just found
There
a
you
great
go.
combo.
Thank you.
Okay, what's your great combo?
Vic, Hillman, Lacey, Allen Robinson, J-Matt, Beckham, Gronk, Lambeau, Giants.
Yep.
All right, whatever. I'll waste $25.
God, this is awful.
Dude,
we
this
have to
is a
stop
good lineup.
We have to stop spiting each other.
Dude, this is a good lineup.
This is thank you, Evan. Also, Bells. Someone said that Bells is playing Vic in cash. So
That's all you need to know, man. That's all you need to know.
Hey, that's all you need to know. So, all right, that will do it for the Friday show. Sorry, it gets a little heated at the end, but that's what happens when you've got a stressful week. You need to just get it out, and so that's what we did. So thanks for everyone that stuck around. Thank you, Evan Silva, for joining us and participating. Davis, if you yawn one more time during this show, holy
Tired,
crap.
man. I'm grinding out here,
Dude.
man.
Bro, find your keys. Find your keys, bro. Thanks to Davis Maddock. Davis, did you ever find your keys?
Yeah, dude. Someone put them in like our trash can. Straight up.
No. Where were they?
They were in the trash.
And Dan, Mr. Tuttle, 05. Dan, again, look for him Sunday night on NBC. Gonna be famous.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think it's gonna be this Sunday, to be honest.
Look for him next Sunday night on NBC. He's gonna be famous. Wall of Fame.
Tell
So that will
Clyde.
do it for the show. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you later. You guys are so silly.
So silly.